Yeah, I know, you all probably thought it was the end of the Marvel t-shirt for a while, but nope, not yet. Because the apocalypse is coming. So as you all know, X-Men Apocalypse premieres this Friday, a movie I am very stoked for. And while I don't have time to do a video for every single X-Men movie that's been released, I feel I should certainly make spoilers for the two that have been kind of the prequel rebooted series for the X-Men. And we're gonna start with the movie that kicked off this reboot series with a huge bang, X-Men First Class. So the movie opens up in a German concentration camp during World War II, and in this concentration camp consists of a young Eric Lenscher and his mother. And in this camp, he and his mother are split up by some of the Nazi soldiers. And in this moment, Eric's trying to get back to his mother, and with that, he just starts reaching out to her, but as he does, he starts to bend the metal gate in front of him. And Nazi scientist Klaus Schmidt, he observes this happen, and he wonders, this kid could probably be of use to me. So later on, he brings Eric into his office and he takes his coin, he puts it on his desk and he says, alright, I want you to move that coin. At first, Eric isn't able to do this, so to give him more of a motivation, Schmidt has his mother brought into his office as well. Except once she is brought into the office, he tells Eric, alright, you're gonna move that coin by the time I count to 3 or I'm gonna shoot her. At this point, Eric's panicking, he's freaking out, he's doing everything he can to move the coin, but he can't do it. And by the time Schmidt hits 3, he shoots his mother dead. But after that, Eric just snaps and he kills the 2 Nazi guards that were in the office, and he just completely destroys the office with all of the metal that's in it. And later on, the movie flashes forward, and now Eric is on a hell-bent mission to find Schmidt and kill him for killing his mother. And speaking of Schmidt, we see him later on in Las Vegas, now going under the name of Sebastian Shaw. We discover that he's recruited other mutants to work for him, and we discover that he is also a mutant with the power to absorb energy that keeps him young and can also use it against his enemies. Rose Byrne, who plays a CIA agent, she discovers all this and also discovers that Shaw ultimately wants to get missiles into Turkey. And knowing that these kind of actions could potentially cause something as huge as World War III, she knows she needs to find a way to stop him. So with that, she goes to seek the help from Charles Xavier. He's a telepathic mutant who's about to graduate from Oxford after he wrote this amazing thesis about mutants. And once he meets with Rose Byrne, he, along with his sister Raven, played by Jennifer Lawrence, they agree to help her. And I want to say this right now, I really love Jennifer Lawrence as Raven / Mystique. Because in this movie, you truly see the struggle that she has to deal with in the power that she has. Because her power gives her the ability to transform into any human being. But her original form, which is, you know, her blue scaly self, it's something that she hates. Because in that form, no one really sees her as beautiful or as a human being. They just see her as some kind of monster. And this does make her envy Charles in the fact that although they grew up together basically as brother and sister, Charles has never had to hide from the world because of his mutation. It really is something that makes you feel for her throughout this movie. So with that, Xavier and Raven, they're officially recruited into the CIA. They're brought into the Division X facility. So later on that night, Xavier comes to help lead this group of soldiers to take down Shaw. He tries to use his telepathic powers to assist them, but unfortunately, Emma Frost, who is working for Shaw, is also a telepath, and she's able to block Xavier's signal. But there's someone else out there who's coming after Shaw, and that's Eric. And this is one of the instances in this movie where we truly get to see how much Eric has grown with his powers. He tries to use the anchors on Shaw's ship to destroy it and try to bring him down, but unfortunately Shaw is able to get off his ship. He starts to escape in a submarine, and in this moment Eric goes underwater. He tries to use his magnetic powers to pull the submarine back up to the surface, and it's in this moment you see how far Eric is willing to go to get his revenge. It's at this point Charles has gone into the water. He's pulled Eric out of there because he told him telepathically, it's like, you can try this, but you're only going to drown. It's not worth it. So they bring Eric with them back to Division X, and at this point we've also been introduced to Hank McCoy. And another thing to really like in this movie is the relationship between Hank and Raven. And it's not just because they have that romantic interest going on between each other, but it's also in the fact that they can relate with each other because they both have powers that they feel is a curse. I mean, Hank's mutation is basically like these monkey feet that help him run faster, but he doesn't really see that as an advantage. He sees it as something that just makes him a freak. It helps him and Raven connect more on a personal level, and it also gives him more of a motivation to try to find a cure for their mutations. But everyone knows the #1 mission is trying to take down Shaw, and now that they've seen that he is a mutant and he has mutant followers, they need to get a team of their own going. It's at this point Xavier uses his telepathic powers on this mutant locating device called Cerebro to track down mutants from all over the world. It's at this point, Eric and Charles are now able to recruit the mutants, Angel, Darwin, Havoc, and Banshee. Well, they also try to recruit Wolverine, but he just tells them to go fuck themselves. At this point, however, Shaw has discovered that these mutants have all been recruited, and now he decides to go to Division X to pay them a little visit. He and his followers are able to wipe out all of the guards that are in Division X, and he's eventually able to make it to the room where the mutants are hiding. And here he tells them that his ultimate goal is mutant ascendancy. He's someone who believes mankind's time is over. It is now time for mutants to emerge and take their place as the dominant beings on this earth. And he's able to reach out to them and saying, like, you will always be judged as monsters for who you are. No one will truly understand your powers or who you are as beings. Join my side, the winning side, and never again will we have to live in the shadows of people. We will rule this earth as mutants. Angel agrees with all the points that Shaw makes. She ultimately decides to join his team, but Darwin and Havoc, they try to stop Shaw from leaving, but it only ends up with Shaw using Havoc's power to kill Darwin. As a result, Charles, Eric, and all the others, they now know that this has been an act of war and they need to get ready. And I really do love seeing how all the mutants trained with one another. I mean, you see them all trying to find certain ways to give their powers certain enhancements, you know, how to learn to control them. One moment I really liked in particular with Eric and Charles, because Charles has been consistently telling Eric that he needs to push himself, find his strength, and only then can he become as powerful as he wants to be. At this point, Eric decides to use his powers to turn a giant satellite dish towards him and Charles, and he's able to do it through that motivation. I think it's really cool seeing Eric has the capability to do that, but it's also awesome seeing the friendship that truly has developed between him and Charles. And also by now, Hank has perfected the cure to his mutation, and also potentially Raven's. But Raven has ultimately decided not to take it because after having a conversation with Eric, he tells her that she shouldn't hide who she truly is. She should be a mutant and proud. And it's at this point Hank decides to just use it on himself, and at first it looks like it works, but it only accelerates his mutation and turns him into the Beast. So now at this point, Shaw has had the missiles installed into Cuba, and he prepares to have the US and Soviet fleets just open fire on one another. And now the X-Men have arrived to take down Shaw and his team. And the fight between them, it's awesome. Because throughout this movie, it clearly seemed like Shaw had the better mutants on his side, you know, the more powerful ones. But here, you truly see just how much the training has paid off with the X-Men, because now they can just use their powers to so much more effect. It made for a really intense and exciting final battle in this movie, which is great for it. And then comes another moment with Eric when he's able to channel that strength inside him, and through it, he's able to lift Shaw's submarine completely out of the ocean and throw it onto an island. So with that, Eric is now able to make his way into Shaw's submarine and come after him. Because Eric knows he needs to remove the helmet that Shaw is wearing, because that's blocking Xavier from using any of his telepathic powers on Shaw. But in this moment, Shaw tells Eric what he told the mutants earlier in this movie, that he only wanted Eric to realize his true power. He wants him to come on board with him, join his side, and rule the world together as mutants should. At this point, Eric is able to remove the helmet from Shaw, and through that, Xavier can use his telepathic powers to freeze Shaw in his place. But at this point, Eric reveals his true intentions, and he takes Shaw's helmet and he puts it on his head. So now Xavier can't do anything to stop Eric from whatever Eric intends to do. At this point, Eric tells a frozen Shaw that he agrees with everything he has said. He agrees with Shaw that it is the mutants' time to dominate the planet. It's their moment to rise. But then he also looks at Shaw and he said, although I do agree with you, you did kill my mom, so I kind of have to kill you too. So with that, Eric takes the coin that Shaw had from the very beginning of this movie, and he uses his magnetic powers to send it directly through Shaw's head. And now with Shaw dead, Eric takes command over his followers, and then he proceeds to use his powers to use the missiles to open fire on both of the fleets. And Charles, knowing that these men shouldn't be killed because they're just following orders, he now just attacks Eric. And it's a bit of a heartbreaking moment because you see right here that Charles is thinking, this is my best friend. This is a guy I have grown so close to throughout this, and now I have to fight him. And Rose Byrne is able to distract Eric by just shooting at him a bunch of times, which eventually does stop the missiles from firing on the fleets. But it only ends with Eric deflecting one of the missiles right into Charles' spine. At this point, Eric and Charles just know that their personal opinions on the relationship between mutants and humans, they'll never be able to agree on that. So Eric decides to leave with his followers, which now consists of Mystique. Later on, we see that Charles is now bound to a wheelchair for the rest of his life, but he decides to turn his mansion into a school for mutants to teach them about their powers. In the meantime, Eric is now also out there trying to recruit his own Brotherhood of Mutants, now calling himself Magneto. So all in all, I think X-Men First Class is awesome. James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender, these guys just kill it as the younger Professor X and Magneto. I think Jennifer Lawrence does a great job as Mystique. I really love the relationship between Mystique and Beast. Kevin Bacon was awesome as Sebastian Shaw. I thought he was a really good villain for this movie. The rest of the characters are awesome. The story is great. The visuals were really impressive. The action is really exciting when it happens. And I honestly feel that as a prequel slash reboot attempt at the X-Men franchise, this is as good as they could have done it. It was a great movie. And what follows after that is only that much better. But right now, that's all I gotta say. So guys, thank you so much for watching my video. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.